It's Monday night, it's RaceSpot TV, and we are here for Monday Night Skippies. Do not adjust your monitors, do not adjust your cell phones. Yeah, it is that dark. It's basically pitch black, and our logo is the brightest thing on the screen right now, because apparently somebody thought that a night race with cars with no headlights and no track lights was a great idea, Will.
I'm still kind of wondering how I'm going to direct this, as well as commentating with you as well.
I don't know how I'm going to commentate it because I can't see the cars, which is a start, but it's different. I will give it that. It is definitely unusual. We have the day-night transitions, and during pre-warm-up here, it ticked a couple of shades darker, and it's going to be interesting. That's all we can say right now, because 26 degrees Celsius, 70% humidity, partly cloudy. You couldn't tell, though. 10 mile an hour winds, yeah, possibly, but the biggest concern here is the fact that it's dark, like really dark, and everyone's gonna be vying for second place because they're the only lights you can see, the brake lights of the cars, or the warning lights I should say, because they're always illuminated regardless of braking status, but you can't see anything. It's definitely different.
We're on board of SJ Johnny right now, right? So this is in towards turn number 1, and this is literally all you can see of the track. They're going to work themselves down to the keyhole in a moment. I cannot see a braking reference point. All I can see is a very small red light.
Absolutely. And that red light is saying, yeah, at least it's something you can follow. It's going to be follow the red light for the entirety of this race. I would not be surprised if we see some record slow times as everyone creeps around the track trying to find their direction. Because this is definitely the first time I've seen this. Normally when it gets to this stage of an evening and you're racing, the cars have lights. The track has lights, and it's probably an endurance race that's heading into the night time. And they're not open wheel race cars here with nothing at a track with no lights. I feel like I'm repeating this, but at the same time, I feel it deserves repeating. This could be a spectacular race. There could be crashes and we'll never see them, unless the lights are facing backwards or something.
Right, this is Simon Edwards heading in towards turn 1. I only know that because that's the pit that he's just gone past. Now he's heading himself in towards keyhole. If I squint, Rachel, I can just about work out where these cars are on track. The thing is, these are going to drivers going to have to do a 25-minute race, and it's going to be pitch black by the time we get to the end of this.
It really is. I mean, they could do it, you know, taping flashlights to their helmets, maybe. Because that might be the only thing that could help them right now. You think someone at least put those little blinky amber lights on top of the cones everywhere, like you see on the motorways? But no, we've not even got that. It's just darkness. It's like they've broken into Mid-Ohio Sports Car Course, which is where we are right now, if you couldn't tell. It feels like they've broken into Mid-Ohio while it's closed, and they're having a little race to themselves.
I have a story on this, by the way.
Do tell.
A certain couple of iRacing IndyCar drivers once actually broke on to the track in the middle of the night on golf buggy. They were able to do about 4 laps before someone realised there was someone on track, and even then they couldn't catch them.
Real IndyCar drivers or iRacing ones? Because you should iRacing.
iRacing drivers the night before the IndyCar Grand Prix at Mid-Ohio.
That's a fantastic story, actually. I'm pretty impressed with that one. Golf carts, even they have headlights, unlike Skip Barber race cars. Either way, we have now got about 2 minutes remaining here on the clock for qualifying. Time's not looking like they're going to change. And yes, Ben Summers, you would be mistaken, or you would be forgiven for mistaking this for a radio show, because you can see as much as we can. And I have to tell you what's going on, which is going to be pretty interesting, to be brutally honest. But the more important factor at the moment is the way this race is playing out for the drivers themselves, of course, because there is a championship on the line. And one of the factors in that, of course, is their standings throughout this season. We're on race number 5 here. Simon Edwards is leading the way right now on 133 points. Claire Hughes, 104. Matt Cox at 101. Halliburton, Cat, Daniels, Antonides back in 7th, joint with Alan Piercy. Clark Williams, Bill Fraser back in 10th place. So the 2 championship contenders last season are surprisingly really far back in the points so far, Will. They've had a pretty rubbish start to this season, as of course we see lots of drifting Skip Barbers on the broadcast there, but likes of Cox and Halliburton, Cat, Daniels having a fantastic season so far.
Yeah, they are, and that's one of the things I like about Top. Let's get serious for just a moment. We see every season some drivers not necessarily have the best run, maybe because they committed to other series, especially in wintertime, which is known for being a league racing part of the year for many people. But it does allow new drivers to come up to the top of the top 5, top of the top 10, and we've been seeing that here again on Monday Night Skippies. Of course, now we're heading into our 6th year even of doing this.
We are, and to be honest, this is the first time in 6 years I've seen anything like this, but at the same time, this is an institution, this series. It is an iRacing institution for the UK Nightclub, as we're at 7:30 in the evening right now, for those of you who are concerned about what time it is. Of course, it's the middle of winter, so 7:30 is quite dark, and it's looking pretty wintry. I'm wondering if we can make a prediction pretty early on here, Will. I mean, we're seeing good qualifying times, of course. It was a little bit lighter at the start when people got those times, because I'm seeing no changes in positions right now, but I'm thinking the people who will win this are the people who survive this race.
Yeah, survival is going to be the name of the game. And actually, I wouldn't be surprised to oversee your leader just build up a big gap and then manage it all the way down to the end as qualifying.
Or dump it.
Or dump it.
Absolutely. I can imagine someone who leads this race just missing a corner, which is the best part. And yeah, this isn't full night. This is this slight visibility for the drivers in their cars, but only as much as you... In fact, there's still less than you'd have if you had headlights, which is the concerning part. So when it gets full night, that's going to be even worse, as currently it's changed. The time is changing. It's actually, I'm looking at the actual sim time. It's actually showing up right now as 9:20. So it's just coming up on 9:20 at the moment rather than 7:30, which I thought it was. But it's getting darker still. Regardless, the drivers here are going to have to do what they can to try and make something of this one. And honestly, I'm looking forward to this event. We've got time coming up now on qualifying, so we're going to go to your starting grid. Simon Edwards is on pole tonight, 1 minute 34.686. Vicky Montini-Dez in second, with Bill Fraser in third place. Ben Daniels and Kane Halliburton is your top 5. With Claire Hughes, Anthony Catt, Ewan Patterson, S.J. Dunning, Clark Williams is in 10th place. Chris Malcolm, Sarah Savage, Anthony Jones, Darrell Taylor, Jack Hobbs in 15th place, with Robert Plumley, Tom Barry, Alan Piercy, who's doing very well at the points at the moment, of course, Adrian Hendy, and Matt Cox. Another great result for him so far over the whole of the season. Not so fast this time by. Our 1 second bracket tonight, of course, set in slightly lighter conditions, I might add. We're looking for a 1:35.6. And that's a surprisingly small number tonight, because we're looking at about 15th place here compared to some races. So, of course, as the rest of the results come up on your screen and we get ready for the green flag tonight, I'm thinking the exhaust flames and the lights on the back of the cars are going to make the grid interesting when all you see in front of you is twinkling red lights. It's going to be like walking down Oxford Street with the Christmas lights.
I think Oxford Street will be a little bit brighter compared to this. This is not, by the way, a black screen, Rachel. This is what we're seeing on our screen. This is actually a static cam on the racetrack.
That's concerning.
This is an onboard camera right now with Charles Kellyman, and I can barely see something when I look on our direct speed, but it's very, very slight. As in fact, we are now heading ourselves to the grid, so I have no idea how to do this one in terms of camera work.
Oh, there's lights now. The pace car has some. At least we have lights going to turn 1 now, I believe. It's all we've got, and it's even darker at this point. I literally can't see. It's gotten actually darker. Yeah, since the qualifying ended, it has gotten darker. I can literally see nothing now. This is going to be like that one time when we had a, I believe it was an IndyCar race at Spa that we broadcast, and it was just pitch black.
This reminds me a little bit of the old-fashioned Racebot TV fun races. We had one at Twin Run with Taggy once in the Skip Barbers, when all you could see was basically the back stretch, but sorry, the front stretch even, Rachel. I mean, that's a look at the track right now. The sun has set behind the grandstands, and we have a silhouette.
Yep, this is going to be a spectacularly interesting race in some regard. We'll show you replays, but we could just be showing you a black PNG file for all you know. But at least there is lighted to turn 1, because the pace car has one. Pointed really at the wrong angle to help, but they're there. So people will know when they cross the start-finish line, but that's about it. You'd expect some lights in the pits maybe, but apparently that's not a thing. I don't think this was designed for this purpose, but regardless, engines rev up now for the start, and green flag is out. We're away. Good start by Simon Edwards. Antonides making a good run from second place, but will slot in just ahead of Bill Fraser there into turn 1, and that light from the pace car just helping slightly for them here. Everyone filters through that first corner. You folks asked iRacing for day-night transitions, and you got it. And there goes the light. As now all we see is a fleet of red lights trickling down towards turn 1. Everyone timidly accelerating down there, but it's going to be... And there goes the car off. And they're 4 wide. And this is the car off.
Yeah.
Yep. Oh my... I don't even know what's going on here. This is spectacular. I can just see tiny little pinpricks of light from your field there as Edwards, Antonides, Fraser, and Daniels making a good break at the front. It's Edwards and Antonides. You have got a good jump here. I think Antonides might be making a pass. I can barely tell. He's not. Okay, he's in second place still. I thought there was a car beside Simon Edwards, but apparently I was wrong.
Well, yeah, Antonides is actually 1.2 now behind Simon Edwards. I think he messed up his entry into the China Bend. I would love to get it on board and show you, but as you can see, it's little red dots in the sky right now. So it is actually Edwards from Antonides from Fraser. Fraser is right behind Antonides right now. This is an onboard shot, Rachel, and this is all you get to see.
It really is, and you think you're having a hard time watching at home, folks, but trust me, this is just as bad for us, because I can't see a single thing in this screen, as I think it's going to be one of those challenging races for these guys to just survive this one. We have got 15 laps here tonight, and I think we might see maybe a few cars appear at the end of this race. I'm not sure who will be there, but they're going to have to step this one down and just try and complete laps, I think, in this event, as they are still clocking big speed here. I think these guys are very brave, because I'm not sure I could race in these conditions.
Yeah, we were on board with Jack Hobbs, who has just crashed. I don't know where, but Jack Hobbs has just crashed on track. I was showing, they were going 3 wide, Rachel, through the back end of the racetrack, so they were still racing hard. We're on to the second lap, and this is a run into the keyhole. We're on board with David Kirkman right now. Yeah, Fraser's got himself a run.
He really has, up alongside Antonides here, as we'll go back to Kirkman in just a second, but Fraser up alongside Antonides here. Opportunity to make a pass here for second place, as behind them, third place Ben Daniels has dropped back behind other cars here, as they are miles back from your lead group right now. The time difference has just opened right up here, as we'll see what the lap times are. It'll be very interesting to see what they're pulling, because right now they're 10 seconds off their qualifying times. Yes, 13 seconds was Simon Edwards' lap last time by Will. That is how big the difference was in time.
This is a real kind of understanding of how well do you know a racetrack. As we go on board now with Anthony Jones, he's in P number 11 in the 11 cars. They work through the right-hander. They actually exit the China Bend. You've got a short little straightaway. That's Wonder Valley that they're coming through right now before you head yourself again to the right. And I mean, the good thing is for Anthony Jones, you've got a lot of red lights. You can play follow the leader a little bit, but when they start going 2 wide, Rachel, you're thinking, okay, where do I go?
Absolutely, and that's one thing they're going to have to try and work out here, of course. Anthony Jones threading the needle here. Great place for him to be, because he's got a lot of cars around him, so there is some light splash from that, but it is incredibly limited. And, you know, we're looking at the times. Honestly, what Edwards was last time by, again, it's going to be 4 seconds off his actual qualifying lap here. That is how dramatically different the pace of this race is. They have to be super careful, because this is so much darker than even qualifying. And I wouldn't have thought anything of this for, of course, a Christmas race or a April Fool's Day race, but this is a regularly scheduled event that counts towards points. That is creative, is the best way I can describe it, but at the very front, we'll try and do our best to give you a radio broadcast of tonight's event, because I believe that's all you're going to really see here. But Antonides is trying to hold off Bill Fraser in third place at the moment, as they've closed in on Simon Edwards. Everyone trying to be very careful here, tiptoeing. Claire Hughes leading a massive pack of cars just behind them now, about 2 seconds back. Anthony Catt, Clark Williams, SJ Dunning, Ewan Patterson, Sarah Savage, and contact there.
Clark Williams.
This is one of those problems we anticipated, yes. Huge impact there for a number of cars as he went off the track, came sideways across it. No one could see him to avoid him, of course. Pow, 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 pow. Cars just keep piling into that invisible race car in the middle of the road. And he was green. He was really, really, really visible.
Sarah Sava
speaking.
takes damage as well to her race car. So drivers out: Adam McNally, Jack Hobbs, Louise Morgan, Chris Malcolm, Mark Chorley, Martin Brandon, Kane Halliburton, Simon Maltby, Ethan Bass, Chris Morris, James McRitchie, and Adrian Hendy already. And now actually Tony Stack is out as well for the time being. This is Fahim. He's actually going to try and go to the race lead here, Rachel. I think this is down into the keyhole.
It is towards the keyhole, as far as I can tell, and they are heading into there now. Fahim backs out to try and take a better line for the entry to get a good run out of the corner. Bill Fraser stacks it behind him. They've got Clay Hughes joining them now from that front end of the field. And they'll have lost the momentum advantage they had running towards the keyhole. Didn't get a good run out of the corner there, Will, but looks like Bill might have a run here on Fahim. Fahim also closing in here on Edwards, so we might see a 2, or even, are they going to be that crazy to go 3 wide here? No, Bill says, screw this, I'm backing out. You two idiots can go 2 wide into China Bend, as they will choose not to. Although, slidey moment there for Fahim, loses momentum. Fraser gets around the outside of him there, coming through the 5th and 6th corners. Fraser on the inside has the line, but the switchbacks now give Fahim back the advantage. Edwards still leading. Clay Hughes right up at the back end here, right on that red light of Bill Fraser's car, joined by SJ Dunning as well. The times have just dropped off here. Times consistently 5 to 6 seconds off what they were actually doing in qualifying. Well, these guys are tiptoeing practically around this track.
They are, however, they're somehow still able to keep it on track for the most part. So I am actually incredibly impressed by that one for the drivers who are able to keep it on track. As well, Antonines is still 3 tenths per second back, and you really cannot see a thing right now. This is from the rear of Antonines' car.
Oh gosh, Will,
that's a lapped car.
Yeah, that was a lap car going about 5 miles an hour down the front straight, and everyone had to snake past it without hitting that car. How they missed him, I don't know, but wow, that was a real risk here. Someone who literally couldn't see was just like, nope, I want to finish this 3 wide towards the keyhole. 3 wide in these conditions, guys? Are you serious? As Fahim drops back and will slot in behind Bill Fraser there after losing that spot, and 3 wide into the keyhole is incredibly brave at the best of times. Never mind when you can't see anything, as Clay Hughes now gets up alongside Fahim. All his momentum will gone from that attempt he had to back out from.
Oh, trouble at the front of the racetrack. There's someone who's had a crash. That is Neil Jackson, I believe, who's involved in that one. We can't tell anything else, but actually Fahim Antonines has lost himself 2 positions. Antonines down to 4th.
Big problems! Oh, huge problems! Right in front of Bill Fraser, a lapped car who was on the verge at turn 5. Couldn't see anyone coming, of course. No lights in the front of their cars. And he plows straight into the 7. That would have been Anthony Catt, who was... Oh, Dave Dawson, sorry, you just mentioned him. Oh my god, that was huge. That was just... The leader's plowing straight into that. This has got to have a huge impact for the race, Will.
Yeah, and
I can imagine drivers... Yeah, I can imagine drivers are going to be clamoring for this to be... I mean, Bill Fraser's in serious trouble. He's off the track now. He's going to be parking this one. His car is destroyed. But these guys have got to be calling for this to not be counted for points. This is insanity.
Yeah, and I was going to say something similar to that, Rachel. We're only a third of the way into this event. The track is only going to get darker as we head ourselves through this event. I mean, look at this camera angle. I can see cars going past, but I can't even make out the car numbers. And it's at the start-finish straight. The only point, really, where you get any form of light on the track. Cars heading themselves still 3 wide, though, Rachel, into turn number 1.
Yeah, not sure why they're trying that again, because it's already shown to not work very effectively at all. A lot of cars 2 wide, and they're trying to do this, but, you know, you're seeing on our camera angle, you can see the lights from the back of cars ahead of you, but you can barely make out the corners, so you must literally know these tracks in iRacing with your eyes closed, you know, with a blindfold on, because that's what this is like. They're having to race from muscle memory here, as I believe they're doing whatever they can here to keep hold of this one, but Simon Edwards, 140 last time by, 6 seconds off his qualifying lap here. Still somehow doing competitive laps, relatively speaking. He's got a gap now of 2.3 over Antonines, who's back in 2nd, of course, after that crash, but who knows what damage they're all nursing. Ewan Patterson up into 3rd place from 8th. 4th from 9th is SJ Dunning. Alan Piercy 18th to 5th place. He's got VR goggles that have got night vision in them, I think, as that car is just going very fast right now, but he's somehow not died. And to make it from 18th to here, We've got Dave Kirkman 26th to 10th. Some of these guys are just, I don't know how they can see. Have they turned up the contrast or something? Because these guys seem to be able to see what others can't.
Yeah, I have no idea. It's on board for him right now, and this is from the nose of his car towards and past start finish line. You do get to see the Goodyear signage. Goodyear, of course, more driven in towards turn number 1, Latinides. This is the run down the back straightaway, Rachel. And of course, the 24 Hours of Daytona this weekend, exclusively live on
big crash
TV.
into one. Big crash into one. Tom Barry involved there as we had cars smashing into the outside barrier. Oof, big problems there.
Darrell Taylor's involved in that as well.
Yeah, he is. Hard to tell exactly who everybody else is, but Darrell Taylor's one of them, of course. As I have to give credit here to one of the guys in the chat right now, Will, because we're renaming this race on the channel after the broadcast is over. Because Chris Watts says this is the Bird Box Challenge Monday Night Skippies edition, and this is absolutely true. This is absolutely perfect. I can't think of a better way to describe this, because in my entire career with not just this series but sim racing broadcasting, I've never seen anything like this other than one joke event we put on with RaceSpot where we had open wheel cars at Spa when they first introduced nighttime, because it seemed like a silly idea, yet apparently that still worked.
Yeah, and now in terms of what we are looking at in terms of the track, I mean, this is literally all we have to show you. This is darker than anything I've ever seen at Spa-Francorchamps. I was about to say, the 24 Hours of Daytona, that is going to have, of course, floodlights around the oval section. What we can see, Rachel, on the screen right now, and I'm surprised that we're actually able to see anything. There is one thing that we can see right now, and you'll see it on the production feed. We can still see the iRacing blimp.
We can, and that is very important. The iRacing blimp is still up there, brightly lit somehow from its own lights, I'm assuming. They could afford money for that, you know, electricity meter, but not the rest of the track, it seems. But, you know, I actually remembered something. That race we did, the joke race at Spa, Will, with RaceSpot, that was actually GT cars. So they at least had headlights.
Yes.
These guys don't have that at all. So it's, yeah. And I think I've worked out what some people are saying. Some people have got the racing line feature of iRacing turned on, giving them their own little day glow path to follow in the night time. That's cheating, guys. Come on, be blind like everybody else.
Yeah.
It's clever, really clever. I will give them props for that. But right now, Edwards has just lost the lead now to, I believe, Ewan Patterson here. Antonina's still back there in third place. So we've had a change for the lead, and if Ewan Patterson could take a win here, he hopes this race stays counted for points, because this would be a huge coup for a driver like him. But at the same time, this is honestly the craziest thing I've seen so far in the service. That this possibility now is leading to comedy gold like this.
Yeah, I'm kind of almost happy that we're not broadcasting this one on the iRacing Esports Network, Rachel, because otherwise I'm sure that we'll be in a little bit of trouble right now for still broadcasting it. But we're on the RaceSpot TV channel, we're allowed to do so. So yeah, it's RaceSpot Radio, because we can't see a thing. Ewan Patterson did get himself past Simon Edwards about 45 seconds to go, but Fahim Latinides is still in the third spot. S.A. Dunning in 9th place, as Tom Barry came on pit road, came out in 12th place, and Rachel, the retirees list is very big. We've almost got 20 drivers out or damaged already.
We have, yes. There's 21 cars left on the lead lap, which is spectacular, as we see now a huge lead there opened up by Patterson. We actually at 1 minute 37 last time, by the fastest lap of the race so far there, as we had contact, with Edwards and Latinides coming through the keyhole there, and Edwards lost some speed, but I think Fahim lost even more right now. I can't tell what's grass and what's not, but Fahim lost a huge amount of momentum. Here comes Edwards to take that position back now, but they've dropped back massively from Ewan Patterson as they head down towards China Bend here, and that's going to be the worst corner to make in these conditions, of course. You just don't know where it is, and look at how far they're missing the apex by. It's just a matter of staying on the track for them as they try and keep this one in the bag. 9 laps down here of 15. This torture is nearly over for the drivers, and if you are a bit of a sadist, this is exactly your sort of race, and you get to watch drivers suffering, and they really are.
And the thing is as well is that the sun has gone deep behind the trees. We can see almost nothing on track now, apart from the red light, the lights at the start of finish line, a guy that's just been pulled over at the side of the racetrack, and the iRacing blimp. That is pretty much all you can see here, Rachel, and we still got 6 laps to go.
Well, we certainly do, and this is honestly phenomenal. I mean, these guys must feel so relaxed on the start-finish line, seeing that Turn 1 bridge lit up by the pace car's headlamps, because it's the only reference they've got here. The only thing they can see, giving them a sure position of the braking point there, to get a little bit of a relaxation on that front stretch, knowing where to brake, knowing where they're going to turn in, and that little bit of light here is going to fight back there. Actually, no, passing a lap car. Ewan Patterson still very much in the lead of this one. Another 1 minute 37. 39 by Edwards, and of course Fahim, who are 2 seconds a lap slower. It's dropping off here now, 3-4 seconds back, and there's 15 seconds to Alan Piercy in 4th place. Anthony Jones, sorry, is in 5th place behind them, up from 13th. 26th to 6th right now, Dave Kirkman, who's somehow holding on here. Matt Cox, 20th to 7th. Peter Cowan, 34th to 8th, Will.
As Dunning just pulls off at the side of the racetrack, he can't see a thing. He's out. And here's another thing, Rachel. Part of doing this is keeping as close as possible to the driver in front, because if you lose that red light, you literally can see nothing. So being stuck right behind someone for once here on Club UK and Ireland Monday Night Skippies is proving to be the better option.
It really is, and it's spectacular. I'm so impressed with this. This is. I wanted something good for my Monday night, and Monday Night Skippies always delivers. But you know what? This was completely hilarious, and I know for the drivers this has been a horrible experience. But sitting up here in the commentary box, or for you viewers at home, this has got to be probably the most unusual race we've had ever in this series, and I genuinely do hope, personally, on a serious note, that this isn't counted for points, because someone done screwed up. This is not raceable. This can't count for a regular season event, because people's championships here are on the line, and championship points. So this is a little bit derpy. It's hilarious for us, but I could also, having driven some of the iRacing cars, these open wheelers, of course, on tracks at night, just to see what it's like, you can't see a thing. And this is just black. Yeah, it's horrendous.
I'm at the point, Rachel, that I've got a number of camera controls I can use to freeze a camera, to move a camera. I can't actually see what my camera controls are doing at this stage of the event. It is like, literally, for me, like pointing into pure darkness. You might catch a glimmer here. For example, I'm going to zoom this camera in. This is working down the back straightaway in towards the China Bend. That's all fine. I cannot see the braking point for the China Bend.
Oh, big slide by Fahim Antonides. Goes wide and off the racetrack there. Coming, I believe this is through the latter part of the lap. I was going to actually compare those two drivers there and give you a bit of a little bit of an example here of something where we can actually have some fun with this race. Take Fahim right now. Let's call him Red 5, because we'll pretend he's an X-Wing starfighter. We'll pretend Simon Edwards is a TIE fighter, and he's closing in for the kill in space, because apparently this track is so black it might as well be the vacuum of space, and they could be spaceships flying through the darkness. That's how I'm choosing to interpret this race at the moment, because it seems to be the only logical explanation for the complete lack of anything but cars we're seeing, unfortunately. Ewan Patterson, sorry, up front now, 7-second gap to Edwards in 2nd place. Antonides in 3rd place, and this is just nutty. Lap number 11 we're on to, of course. Leaders just started lap 11, so 5 laps remaining for this, and this is comedy. This is just amazing. And before anyone starts accusing us of this is definitely the series organizer.
Yeah, this is
not us. We had no hand in this catastrophe, and again, the devil in me is loving this, but at the same time, the racer is kind of getting it. Yeah, this isn't great at all, but the race must go on, because that is what these guys are here to do. Ewan Patterson might be looking at an inaugural win here for himself. A huge gap for him. More 36 last time by, so he's almost on pace. This guy has got this thing dialed down. I don't even know how.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, he's 2.5 seconds a lap faster than Simon Edwards.
The screen, I just saw what you put on the screen. Oh my gosh.
He's been pulling out a gap of 2.5 seconds a lap or so, as Dave Kirkman and Matt Cox are apparently, according to our timing and scoring, because that's all we're relying on now, Rachel. According to our timing and scoring, Matt Cox has gone past Dave Kirkman.
Yeah, this is exactly like what happened when I got to commentate at the Anglesey circuit for a 24-hour race. During the night, we commentated by the timing of scoring, basically. That's all we had. If the cars were close together, we described it as a battle for the commentary, because that's all we could really go with. We couldn't see anything, to be honest. And yeah, as Timu just pointed out, no, this is not false advertising at all. For the first time, we can definitely tell you it is definitely Monday night, Skippies.
Yes. I almost feel right now as if would have been better off if we had the 24 Hours of Le Mans CCTV cameras, because at least then you'd get a kind of like inbuilt light that you might be able to show, or a night, you know, glow. I mean, right now, Rachel, we have pretty much nothing. We need some infrared cameras for our next Monday night broadcast.
We really do. We should invest in that for Race Spot TV and get some real good footage there of the night race, get all the derp going on. 15 cars remaining on the lead lap. That is a record for Monday Night Skippies of lead lap drivers. That's, you know, that's maybe 400 laps into the Coke 600 numbers of cars left on the lead lap, possibly. But it's just crazy numbers to see how few drivers are still hanging on here. And some of those guys are about to go a lap down, because Ewan Patterson's about to encounter some fairly big traffic here. So this could be a difficult one for him. In fact, he has got traffic just ahead of him now, so he has a reference point to use as he goes flying past. I think he may be one of the drivers who had, in fact, quite a few of these guys who are up here, like 42nd to 10th, Jake Ridlington. I think some of these guys are the ones that have found that little driving line button. Yes. I think. As I'm trying to work out what you're writing there, Will can't write, but I think he's... What are we pointing at?
I think we were looking at Fahim Atanides. I'm not sure, but we think that's Fahim Atanides right now.
Yeah, we're on board with Fahim, or we were on board with Fahim, and now we're of course looking at Simon Edwards in the distance ahead of him. That's the X-Wing we're pretending he is. So the TIE Fighter. Edwards is the TIE Fighter. Fahim is the X-Wing. There we go. We've got that the right way around now. But this is truly a unique race format, one I hope we don't repeat, unfortunately. I mean, because it's actually really hard for us too, as... No, but with lights on the cars, like, yes. Even if it was GT cars here with headlights, that would have been different. You know, this is like going to somewhere like, oh, I don't know, Pocono, well, in NASCAR stock cars, you know, the cup cars, and racing around there, which doesn't have lights either.
I'll tell you what, I'm just going to turn off all the graphics for a second, Rach, and I am using 2.7% on my CPU to encode this race at 15 megabytes a second right now. That's how dark it is.
Oh, when you actually upload this video to YouTube, it is going to be so small a file because half the pixels are black. There's no data there. I've found that videos include lots of nighttime. They're tiny. There's nothing to render. Where this is exactly the same. It's going to be a tiny video file. It's going to be great. It's going to be the fastest upload ever for a Race Spot TV broadcast. But at the same time, this isn't quite racing, is it? As Patterson now has 10 seconds on Edwards and Antonides right now. As I did say before the race, they really needed to tape flashlights to the helmets. It might have been a saving grace for this one, but Fahim trying to get past Edwards here. If it's nighttime, he still wants to get second place at least. He might not be able to win this, but Simon Edwards still putting up a massive fight here, holding on ahead of him.
We know one thing, Rachel, it's a white flag. The graphics still work in the dark.
Oh, finally, the torture is nearly over for these guys. I feel sad and happy for them. Sad that this comedy and mockery is going to end, but happy for the drivers that they get to rest and relax after this one. I can't wait for the interviews after this race. Yeah, that's going to be the best part.
He's coming.
As Fahim goes up the inside. Yeah, keyhole.
Well, we can't actually see if he makes the pass.
Oh, no, on the grass. Whoopsie. No, Fahim completely didn't corner. I think that's the best way to put that one. He just tried to corner and then sucked at it. Probably because he couldn't see it. As Edwards took a very wide line sensibly there. Fahim looking for the apex, found grass instead and realised his error. Although he has a good draft now, might be able to make it past Edwards as he runs down towards China Bend. Has a good run, but try not to shoot off the end. And he clears him. So Fahim up to second place.
Yeah, and that's something we almost saw there with half a lap to go, Rachel. But Fahim has 12 seconds to go, and actually he's just why Edwards looking back for second place.
He's trying, but he hasn't got a chance yet. Edwards trying to find an opportunity, but lap car ahead giving Fahim something to follow right now as here we go. Coming now up towards the end of this lap, and Ewan Patterson coming through the final corners here, through the carousel. Going to be a first win here for Ewan Patterson from 8th place to 1st out the final corner. That light from the pace car in 1 beckoning him home. He'll win this race. Fahim Antonides will hold on for second. One more corner to go. At least, then, you know, it's uncertain whether he'll make that one, at least in this race, of course, but makes it across and will come home in second place. Simon Edwards in third. Now we have to wait for Alan Piercy, who's quite a way back here at this point for fourth place, and then we're going to the 10 seconds for Anthony Jones. Through they'll come.
Are they side by side?
No, they were close. They were very close, but I couldn't see out of the car. I saw one of them, but I didn't see the other one, but apparently they were close, so who knows?
I just see lots of red. It's a bit like, you talk about WWE before the start of this broadcast. Bray Wyatt would be proud right now.
You know what? He probably would, yes. Actually, that really fits better than I could imagine. It's certainly an unusual situation for this race, but it is over, and we can go in a few moments to your post-race results once the last of these drivers finish. And some of them are basically walking their cars home because it's the safest method they've got. Yeah, I think some of them have the brightness up, racing lights on, night vision goggles turned on or something. I know I had to turn the light off in my office to be able to even at least make out some detail on the racetrack because it's that dark. Regardless, we're going to go to your post-race results, and you're going to have the best part of this broadcast after this, the post-race interviews, where we get to have some beautiful conversations with these very confused drivers. And it's going to be hilarious. But your results. Ewan Patterson coming home today with the win for the first time for him in the Pitch Black 200, with Fahim Antoniades coming home second place, and third goes to Simon Edwards. Alan Piercy, Anthony Jones finishes your top 5, with Dave Kirkman, Peter Cowan, Matt Cox, John McGovern, Claire Hughes in 10th place. Then you got Tom Barry and Michael Taylor rounding at your top 12, and the last car on the lead lap. Yep, 12. Jake Riddington, Daryl Taylor, Andrew Bolton in 15th place, with Neil Stephenson, Matthew Forrest, Charles Kellyman, Simon Maltby, and Christopher Keeble in 20th. Rest of the results up on your screen. And I am really looking forward to this chat. We have Fahim Antoniades with us right now, and Fahim, I've been dying to interview you since the start of this race. Tell us how this was for you.
Why? I mean, what was different to the usual races that we normally have, Rachel?
I don't know. I was expecting you could possibly tell me. I mean, the car looked to be handling a little bit differently tonight. Was there something wrong with the setup?
I don't know what we did to ourselves tonight, but I think next week we'll try blindfolded and see how that goes.
Well, someone did describe this as the RaceBot TV Bird Box Challenge. Did you feel like you passed?
The Bird Brain Challenge, more like.
Yes, that's Alan Patterson as the Bird Brain Challenge, and he succeeded. But how was it for you?
The series has lived up to its name, Monday Night Skippies.
Again, also that joke's been made, but how was it for you? Tell us what it was like to race through this at actual almost speed.
Well, it was really bad because, you had to switch off all your black boxes. Anybody who got onto the chat, you would get glaring. So you need to, we were constantly telling each other to shut up and not to talk through the race, so that we could preserve night vision. and then it was just simply trying to follow the car in front of you, because now, obviously, thank God that the red backlight on the Skippy is a lot brighter than it used to be.
I bet you were never so glad to be second.
Well, yeah, absolutely. But you could just about pick out the white lines that define the edges of the tracks. It was harder to define the curbs because, it's not white. They're painted a different color, but you could see dark and light patches. So you could pretty much, after about, I don't know, half a dozen laps or so, you could more or less make out where the track was. But racing was a different story altogether. I think half of us survived on muscle memory. And,
2 points to make really quickly, Fahim. First off, Will, I hope you're having fun colouring on the broadcast. And secondly, Fahim, based on tonight's race, do you think that having a race for the almost blind / visually impaired would possibly be a good idea based on this event?
Well, you'd think so, wouldn't you? I mean, we did a pretty damn good job considering, didn't we?
Certainly did. Well, thank you very much for joining us, Fahim. We're going to go have a chance to chat to 2 of our other drivers in tonight's spectacular event. Of course, we've also got Simon Edwards, Dave Kirkman, Paul Thurston with us right now. We'll come to Simon first because he, of course, came third tonight. Simon, we asked Fahim about his setup. The car didn't seem to be handling too well tonight. How was it for you?
The car was handling fine. I just couldn't see anything.
Yes, I think that was definitely a consideration. Fahim said it was literally patches of things you could see, but once Ewan got past you guys and disappeared, and you were leading for most of this one, how was it racing with literally nothing in front of you to see?
All I could see was a vague outline of where I was using the counter boards, you know, the 150 and so on, and I was just using that, and then just seeing glimpses of where the apex were or where the side of the track was, and that was it. I know a lot of people put the driving line on, and I should have done that because it's
I think we could tell who did that, because there's a lot of guys who came from the back of this one right to the front towards the end, so they had something working for them, it seems.
Yeah, but I mean, it was fun in a way. Did Bill get taken out by a car coming on?
Yes, they rejoined the racetrack, probably because he couldn't see anyone coming, although relative box is a thing. Use it, folks.
Yeah, I just saw him, but at the very last second, and I just steered right, so I ended up on the grass, but I didn't really know where I was, and just sort of gently brought it back to the left and eventually found some tarmac.
Well, to be fair, finishing third tonight is a phenomenal result from you, so I am expecting this one may get thrown out of the points based on the sheer carnage, but still a great result considering the adversity.
Yeah, you don't want to take the poor win off Ewan, do you? I mean, he's just won his first race in a good way.
By surviving. Well, maybe not. We'll have to find out what Alan decides to do. I think there'll be some very salty people and some very happy people to get a fantastic result for their career, of course, from this one. But thank you for joining us, Simon. And we'll move on to Dave next. Dave Kirkman today came home in 6th place. Dave, one of those guys who came from 26th to 6th. What's your secret? And does it involve the driving line?
It does, yeah. Without the driving line, I would have been totally lost.
How useful was that?
Well, it wasn't really the driving line, which is a problem, but it basically showed me where to go when I was in front of people, because when you're following people, it's okay, you've got a tiny red light to follow, but when you're in front of them, you've got no chance. And Matt Cox he overtook me and he just went off straight away. You could tell he didn't have the driving line on. So, I mean, it was fun, and it's what obviously UK and I Skippies is all about, having a bit of fun, really. But it was crazy, and I can't see how it can be in the championship, because it was just absolutely crazy. But there you go, it was fun.
It certainly was that. I'm not sure I'd describe it as fun. From the commentary box and from the viewer's perspective, it was hilarious, but from
I don't
your
know how you
perspective, I can imagine the
commentated.
suffering. It's like a radio broadcast. We basically used the relative timing to just commentate it. We couldn't really see anything on the track. At one point, we had a bit of an X-Wing TIE fighter battle between Fahim and Simon. Well, that's how I decided they were going to be now, because it looked like they were flying through space, not a racetrack. But it was different.
Yeah, it was definitely different. I've never done that on iRacing before, so that's what I mean. It's fun to try something different, but I wouldn't want to do that again. It was a little bit arcadey, and it was crazy, but you know, there you go. I came from 25th to 6th, so I did alright out of it. But if I was in charge of the championship, I'd say rerun that race, because it wasn't fair.
Well, there you go. We may have another week 13 race run for points here. As I think I worked out why the iRacing blimp is lit, Will. I think it's more that they just didn't put a night map on it because no one expected to be seeing it.
Although no, because the blimps are always lit.
True, possible, yeah. I mean, you think they put some lights on the track?
Well,
like
they have
the
to. It's a thing flying in the air. I mean, if you want to have things flying in the air, they've got to have lights on them.
Oh, yes, but I'm saying you think they'd also put a couple of little lights, ambient lights around the track itself, rather than, oh wait, this was never designed to be nighttime at this place. That's probably explaining it.
The only other lights were from the pace car, which seemed to be at the end of the pit lane.
It helps you guys, of course. It showed you the first corner.
Well, every now and again it came on, which was a bit weird, but yeah, that was the only light that I saw, really. And then I think halfway through, half of us thought that it was getting lighter, and the other half thought it wasn't changing. So I think our eyes are probably adapting to it a bit more.
I think they did. Well, your night vision seemed to help you out tonight just fine. Dave Kirkman coming home today in 6th place from 26th. Thank you for joining us. And finally, but not last or least, is old Paul Thurston.
Good evening.
How is this for you? Guess you need that tea. So goddamn it, Will, stop colouring.
Did something go wrong?
No, I was wondering how the race was for you.
Oh, it was great. I mean, I made a little mistake early on where I went too wide on the first corner, but it was fine. People seemed to be talking as if there was a problem somewhere. Normal race for me. I wasn't quick. I stuck the racing line on after I span it. I just sort of went wide on the first corner, heard something go crash, and ended up. Well, I was facing a direction. I have no idea which direction I was facing, so I thought maybe I'll take a tow. And then other people were saying put the line on, so I put the line on, and I was still slow. I was still 2 seconds slower than everybody else who was around me. But I had a brilliant little battle with Chris Keeble for about 3 or 4 laps for the heights of 20th place. But we were alongside, we were side by side for like corner after corner, despite the fact that we knew where we were because of the spotter, and I was just using the racing line, assuming it was going down roughly in the middle. If it was on my right, I'd stay to the left of it, and I assume he was doing the same. But we didn't hit each other. I've got only 5 incidents for that race, which is quite impressive. I tell you what, John McGovern, 0 incidents. I mean, come on, round of applause.
Absolutely, a fantastic result from him to manage to make it that far without a single incident. That's
and top
impressive. 10. And top 10, wow.
He sort of cruised past me. He lapped me at one point. I assume he did. He ended up. I think I saw him go past. But,
he was very chuffed. That was his best result, I think, as well.
It was surprising, actually. He's a good driver, John. But yeah, Alan might actually rerun that one. I've actually got admin rights, but I looked. I dived out the session during practice and tried to find some sort of command so we could sort of like kick time back for an hour. But realism pathetic, isn't it? iRacing. Huh. There's nothing to move time. I mean.
If only we could turn back time, Will.
Oh, there's a song here somewhere.
Turn back time.
No, hang on. We'll be demonetized a copyright strike. Don't do that.
Yeah.
Anyway, thank you, Paul. Yeah, we'll have to keep up to rest with news on how this changes, and we'll find out, of course, next week if there's been any change, whether this will stand as an official round. If not, sorry, Ewan, but I think you might be the odd one out in this one in terms of deciding if you should count.
Let's give Ewan the win.
He did get a fantastic win, though. I mean, he was running pretty fast laps there.
They should just nullify the result.
Yeah, non-championship race.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Still wins, but it's non-championship. That seems perfectly fair to me.
To win that, but with nobody in front of him and no vision. I mean, that's
impressive driving.
Yeah.
It is indeed. Well, folks, thank you for joining us tonight, and hopefully next week we'll be back to regularly scheduled daytime Monday daytime skippies.
Midnight skippies.
Well, at least regardless, you've not hurt your eyes watching this broadcast, so it's RaceBot TV looking out for your health. We'll see you next week. Bye.
Well done, Rachel and Will, for commentating on that one.